Good evening. I don't know if I'm feeling welcome in Victoria, my home country. Hey? I've been a high school teacher for 14 years. Before I became a pastor, I taught industrial technology. Those people in industrial technology, manual arts, gone out of fashion. No wonder I don't teach it anymore. No one's doing it. Graphics? Oh my goodness. So it was fun. I taught in Sydney, taught in London, and taught back here in Brisbane. Never taught in Victoria. I wasn't asking if I was your manual arts teacher. Anyway. The whole theme of tonight is reality is, and you got from the drama, I hope, that this guy is waiting for Jesus to come because he believes that what Jesus promises he will do, he will do. He will come through with whatever he promises that he says he will do. The reality is most young people don't believe this. Most young people mantra, and this, I'll just name what your mantra is. Your mantra is, what's happening to me now, or what I'm feeling now, is what I believe. What's happening to me now and what I'm feeling is going on is what I believe. That's what my faith is based in. And faith's an important thing because faith is, if you like a biblical view, is what Jesus says he will do, he will do. There's a woman in Luke 8. She has an issue with bleeding, and she's had this issue for a long time. And she's been to all the physicians, she's been to the doctors, she's been to everyone that matters with her sickness. And she's tried everyone. She's knocked on everyone's door, and everyone sent her away with a new type of medicine or a new type of way of healing, some natural way, or pray harder. Or, it's because you sin. It's because you're a sinner. So how are you meant to get rid of that? I don't know, but I don't know. Give it a go. And she finds out that Jesus is coming to her town. And she has this opportunity to believe what's happening to me now and what I'm feeling is my reality forever. But she refuses to believe that. She believes that I have faith in a person. Did you get that? Because faith isn't circumstance. Faith isn't what you're feeling. Faith isn't what you're going through now. Faith isn't even reality. Reality is faith in a person, Jesus Christ. Because if you have it in anything else, it will fail. So she comes up and she's got this faith in Jesus that if she just touched the edge of his cloak, that she'll be healed. What amazing faith. And everyone else comes up to Jesus and asks for healing. Jesus, can you heal me? Or Jesus, my daughter's at home, can you heal her, please? Just say the word and she'll be healed. This woman doesn't even have, she doesn't even ask him anything. She comes up, and it's the only instance in the Bible where her faith healed her. Or a person comes up to Jesus, touches the cloak, and because of her faith, Jesus' healing has to be obedient. Did you get that? Jesus' healing was obedient to her faith because she doesn't ask for healing. So she's healed anyway. So she comes up, she touches the cloak, I picture she's sneaking up because, keep in mind, she's unclean. And if anyone finds out that she's unclean, they will announce that she's unclean. Unclean woman coming through, and the crowd scatters. So she has to be secretive. She has to be ninja-like. Stealth, if you like. Soz, I don't have the sayings, okay? Not Soz. So he comes up, she's sneaking through the crowd. She's probably covered all up, and she touches the cloak. yes, got away with it. Until Jesus turns around and says, who touched me? The disciples are like, who touched you? Are you serious? Have you seen the crowd around you, Jesus? They are everywhere. Of course someone touched you. No, someone touched me because power went out of me. Power left me. So someone touched me. And he turns around, he makes a point. Someone touched me. And the woman just is trying to hide because she knows if people find out that she's unclean and she's just touched him, they will announce it. Because everyone knows her, right? But something's changed inside of her. Something's happened. It's called healing. And Jesus looks at her and says, your faith has made you well. So the servants come along and say, don't worry, Jesus, about coming to Jairus' house. Don't worry about it because she's dead. And Jesus says to Jairus, have faith. I'll come to your house and your daughter will be well. Because Jesus has wasted so much time with this woman, right? She refused to believe that the way what's happening to her now and the way she's feeling is her reality. She stuck her faith in Jesus Christ, in a person. And that's hard for us to do, isn't it? What did you do this morning? Did you spend 15 minutes with Jesus? Every single time you come home and you see your iPad or your phone or your remote control to the television and the Bible next to it, which one do you pick up? I'm not judging you. I do the same thing. Pick up my phone, see my Instagram, see my Facebook, because I'm old. I can't get the hang of Snapchat. It just doesn't work. I'm 45. I'm still in Facebook land. So excuse soz. I learned that word today, okay? I'm trying to be relevant. Okay, so so this woman touches the cloak and gets healed because she refuses to believe the story that she's been told, and that is that her faith is based in what she's feeling or what's happening to her now. The number one reason why you will give up your faith in Christianity, and they say about 85 to 90% of our youth are leaving the church. Well, this is why. Poor choices. Young people veer off the moral course relationally and ethically. Then comes the guilt. Now listen to this, because this is a reality. This is why you're leaving the church. You want to hear this, so make sure you don't. How do you get rid of guilt? Ask for forgiveness, change your behavior, right? Ask for forgiveness and change your behavior, or change your belief. You'd think changing your behavior is the easy one to do, wouldn't you? It's not. Changing your belief is easier. Oh, I feel this guilt and I keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And because I keep repeating the same thing over and over and again, I get this guilt within my heart. So to get rid of the guilt, I don't want to change my behavior because I keep repeating it. So what I'll do is I'll change my belief. So now I don't believe in Jesus or anything to do with the Bible for that matter, and I'll turn agnostic. I won't turn atheist because I believe there's a God, but I'll turn agnostic. I don't really care. Guilt is the reason you leave the church. Guilt is the reason you may leave it. Guilt is the reason that someone dragged you here tonight to listen. and you didn't really want to come. Or an unexplained tragedy. Unexplained tragedies are hard. Painful, adverse circumstances that doesn't fit with your understanding or the character of God. So something happens majorly to your family or a family member or a friend, and you can't explain it, but you blame God. Your mantra is, what is happening to me now and what I'm feeling now determines what I believe now. In both scenarios, you feel guilt, you'd rather change your behavior, or you'd rather change your belief than your behavior. I mean, the obvious choice is to change your behavior. That's what Jesus wants you to do. That's called sanctification. He wants to make you more like Him. A society without, and people are down on the commandments of God. A society without the commandments of God falls apart. You take one of the commandments and take them out of society, and you watch life fall apart. You watch society fall apart. You watch culture fall apart. You watch yourself fall apart. That's why the majority of the law in the Ten Commandments is abided by the community that you live in. You can't go around killing people. You can't go around stealing. You can't go around committing adultery, lie to people. This is why we have the commandments, because if God says a society, a culture, a family without a law. I was on my way to London the second time. I was going over to meet two friends, two of my really good friends. And I landed in London, and I didn't know where to go, and they'd given me directions to the house, and so I walked on foot and caught the tube to wherever I was meant to go, and I walking down the street, and I saw them on the other side of the street. And I was so happy that I saw them, and London's massive. I didn't have a phone, so we couldn't really communicate. And the next day we were flying out to Miami. They'd booked the hotel in Miami online, and I wondered about that choice, but it happened anyway. So the next day, fully jet-lagged, we're off to Miami. It was actually that night, I think. Anyway, I was smashed. I was on my way to Miami, absolutely gone. I was tired. I was just done with traveling, done being on a plane. And I arrived in Miami, and we went to our hotel that we had booked on the internet, right in the middle of the worst part of Miami. And we pull up in the cab, and we hop out of the cab, get our bags out, and we go into the desk where the lady's there. The lady there is just bashed. Her face is just a mess. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but she had just been beaten. And she, through her slurring kind of English, she said, can I help you? And we're looking at each other going, we are in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then my gut just felt, you have that sinking feeling in your gut, and it just, oh no. I'd left my backpack in the cab. Now, in my backpack was my passports. I had an Australian and a British passport, both passports, all my cash, everything. Credit cards, you name it was all in my backpack. And I'd left that in the cab. Sinking feeling. Now, I have an opportunity at this point to believe in this mantra that I've read out to you. What is happening to me now and what I'm feeling now determines what I believe now. I chose to sit on the gutter of that street and pray. Because usually explained happens, and when something bad happens, that's when you usually turn to God, right? When you have no other option. So now you have faith. So I'm sitting in the gutter praying, and there's gangsters walking past me. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if he wants to, he could beat me up right now. But they were walking past me like they didn't even see me. And I was there from about 11 o'clock at night till 3 in the morning, just praying. Please bring my bag back. God, please bring my bag back. Please be with the taxi driver and help them to realize that you don't understand, passports in this part of the world, they're wanted. They want the passports. It's an Australian and British passport. This is something that they want. Please bring it back. And guess what? Later on that night, guess what happened? Anyone? No, they didn't get it back. Stayed all night, and then we went to the beach the next day, and I felt sick. You see, Miami to Atlanta is a long way, and we were thinking about how do we rent a car and how do we go up all the way to Atlanta, and this has just wrecked our whole holiday. We're meant to go to South Beach and just have fun, but that ain't happening. So I said, boys, we need to go one more night at this place, and they're like, there's no way we're staying at this place anymore. We've made a police report by now, and the police said, you know what? You can't stay here any longer. This isn't a place for you. You shouldn't be here. I don't know why you're even here. And I said, come on, one more night. They said, okay, we'll stay one more night. So we went back to the hotel, and sure enough, I'm out on the street again, praying. Bring this passport back. And I got sick of it. And I said, Lord, I've had it. I've had enough. That's it. I'm done. You don't do what you say you're going to do. I'm done with you. This is it. I'm sick of believing in you. Why? Because you don't deliver. I'm praying to you now. I'm crying out my heart, and you haven't brought my bag back. And I need this. It's just really hard for me to get out of the country without passports. So I went to bed, and I'm just sick of it. I was done. And I believed it. What's happening to me now, what I'm feeling now, is my reality. It's what I believe. At 3 o'clock that morning, 3:30, whatever it was, heard a knock on the door. And I woke up and I thought to myself, God, I'm so sorry for not having faith in you. And I knew. I went to the door and opened it up. And there's the taxi driver. And he said, is this yours? I said, you've done the right thing tonight, mate. I took out my wallet, got all the cash, I gave it to him. I said, I know it was a battle, but you've done the right thing. And he looked at me and said, thanks, mate. And got in his cab and went away. I could tell you story after story after story. It's probably because I'm 45 years old. And I believe that when God promises something, He delivers. He didn't promise to give my bag back. And I often ask the question, if He didn't give my bag back, would I still worship Him? Well, now I would. Because sometimes God says no. Sometimes it's good for me to go to Atlanta. Sometimes it's good for me to just follow what God wants me to do. Why? Because now my faith is based in a person. The person Jesus Christ. And unless you give your life to Him, you're just going to go through life and be unstable. You're just going to go through life not having faith in anything. You're going to go through life without hope. And a person without hope is not a life worth living. Which is why the suicide rate of teens has risen beyond all measure. It seems, I'm a chaplain in Canberra, and it just seems like every week, every month, a teen takes their life. And I'll tell you a story later on this week about one of my teens. But the reality is a lack of faith. Faith isn't putting your belief in God and saying, you know what? I want you to be like a Santa Claus. I want a power that moves God in the direction that I've prescribed. I want a code that unlocks the door of God's unlimited resources. I want a way to get what I want from God. I want yes to be the answer all the time, never no, because I have difficulty accepting no. I want a lever that if God doesn't cooperate, I will abandon my faith and God altogether. Faith isn't a tool that God's obligated to do something for you and act in the positive. Jesus knows the beginning from the end. God knows exactly what your life is meant to be like. And sometimes you will go through hard times. Sometimes you will pray to God and God will be silent. In fact, I'll say to you, most of the time God will be silent. And God will say no to you quite often. Because He wants your faith to be in Him, not the circumstance. He wants your faith solid. He wants it to have faith in a person, Jesus Christ. Have I been clear? Have faith in Jesus, and you'll never lose hope. You will always trust, and you'll see the best in everyone that you meet. And you'll have a life full of joy, full of peace and understanding. If you have your faith in Jesus Christ.